The story begins in Paris, the city of lights, romance, and dreams. It was a cold December night in 2008, the air crisp and the streets bustling with holiday cheer. Two friends, Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, found themselves struggling to find a cab amidst the festive chaos. Their frustration sparked an idea that would change the world. What if you could order a ride with a simple tap on your phone? This question, born out of a moment of inconvenience, would soon revolutionize urban transportation. This seemingly simple question would snowball into a global phenomenon, birthing a multi-billion-dollar company and forever changing the way we move. That company was Uber, a name now synonymous with ride-sharing. But Uber's meteoric rise wouldn't come without its share of controversy. The company faced numerous challenges and criticisms along the way. From its brazen disregard for regulations, which angered traditional taxi services and led to numerous legal battles, to its cutthroat tactics against competitors, Uber's aggressive approach often put it at odds with both the industry and the public. Uber's journey is paved with ethical landmines, raising questions about corporate responsibility and the true cost of innovation. This is the story of a company that pushed boundaries, disrupted industries, and ultimately forced us to confront the uncomfortable question: how much are we willing to tolerate for the sake of innovation? As we delve deeper, we uncover the complexities and the impact of Uber's rise on our modern world. Travis Kalanick, Uber's co-founder and CEO, was no stranger to Silicon Valley's cutthroat world. He had already tasted both success and failure with his previous venture, Red Swoosh, a peer-to-peer file-sharing company. Kalanick, known for his aggressive, win-at-all-costs mentality, brought this same ethos to Uber. He believed that regulations were mere obstacles to be circumvented, not rules to be followed. This belief would become a defining characteristic of Uber's early years, setting the stage for a series of clashes with authorities and competitors alike. Kalanick's leadership, while instrumental in Uber's rapid growth, would also become a source of intense scrutiny and controversy. Uber's arrival on the scene sent shockwaves through the heavily regulated taxi industry. Here was a company that played by its own rules, leveraging technology to undercut traditional taxi services. Cities around the world, caught off guard by Uber's rapid expansion, scrambled to respond. But Uber was always one step ahead, exploiting legal loopholes and challenging the very notion of what it meant to be a transportation company. This blatant disregard for existing regulations sparked protests from taxi drivers who saw their livelihoods threatened. It also ignited a global debate about the role of innovation and the need for regulatory oversight in the digital age. As Uber's battles with regulators intensified, the company resorted to increasingly controversial tactics. These tactics were not just bold but also highly secretive, designed to outmaneuver the authorities at every turn. One such tactic was the development of Greyball, a sophisticated software program designed to evade law enforcement. This software was a product of Uber's advanced technological capabilities and strategic thinking. Greyball allowed Uber to identify and deny rides to users suspected of being undercover officials. By using data collected from the app, Uber could flag these users and effectively block them from accessing its services. This meant that city officials attempting to hail Uber cars for sting operations would simply see phantom cars on their app, effectively rendering them invisible. The officials were left frustrated and unable to carry out their enforcement duties. When news of Greyball broke, it sparked outrage and accusations of deception. The public and media were quick to condemn Uber's actions, viewing them as a blatant attempt to undermine the law. Uber defended its actions, claiming it was simply protecting its drivers and its business. The company argued that Greyball was a necessary measure to prevent harassment and ensure the safety of its drivers. However, the Greyball scandal further tarnished Uber's reputation, painting a picture of a company willing to go to extreme lengths to achieve its goals. The incident added to a growing list of controversies that plagued Uber, raising questions about its ethical standards and business practices. Section 5. The ride-sharing rivalry, Uber versus Lyft. Uber's aggressive expansion wasn't limited to battling regulators. The company also found itself locked in a fierce rivalry with Lyft, a fellow ride-sharing startup. Both companies vying for market dominance deployed aggressive tactics to outmaneuver each other. This rivalry wasn't just about gaining more customers, it was about establishing a foothold in a rapidly growing market. They engaged in a series of strategic moves, including poaching drivers from one another, offering heavily discounted rides to attract users, and even allegedly ordering and canceling rides from each other to disrupt operations. These tactics, while effective in the short term, created a highly competitive and often hostile environment. Drivers were caught in the middle, frequently switching between platforms to maximize their earnings. Customers, on the other hand, benefited from lower prices and more options, but the constant battle for supremacy led to service inconsistencies and frustrations. This cutthroat competition, while ultimately benefiting consumers with lower prices and more options, came at a cost. It fueled a toxic work environment within both companies where employees were under immense pressure to outperform their rivals. The relentless drive for market share led to long hours, high stress, and a culture where ethical considerations were often sidelined in favor of rapid growth. This raised significant concerns about the ethics of Silicon Valley's growth-at-all-costs mentality, prompting a broader discussion about the true cost of innovation and competition in the tech industry. Section 6: Behind the Wheel, the human cost of Uber's success. Lost in the narrative of innovation and disruption was the plight of Uber's drivers. Classified as independent contractors, drivers lacked basic labor protections such as minimum wage and overtime pay. They shouldered the costs of vehicle maintenance, insurance, and fuel, often working long hours to make ends meet. Stories emerged of drivers struggling to make a living wage, facing exploitation, and lacking access to benefits. Tragic incidents, including assaults and even murders, highlighted the safety risks drivers faced. The human cost of Uber's success became increasingly difficult to ignore. Section 7: The Price of Innovation. Was Uber's rise worth the fall? Uber's story is a cautionary tale of ambition, innovation, and the ethical dilemmas that arise when technology outpaces regulation. The company's relentless pursuit of growth, fueled by a win-at-all-cost mentality, came at a steep price. It alienated regulators, strained relationships with drivers, and tarnished the company's reputation. The question remains, was Uber's success worth the ethical compromises? Did the company's disruptive innovation justify its disregard for rules and its treatment of workers? These are questions that continue to be debated as Uber and the gig economy it helped create grapple with their legacy. The year is 2017. Scandals plague Uber. Internal investigations reveal a toxic work environment rife with sexual harassment and discrimination. Investors, feeling the pressure, demand change. The board of directors takes action. Travis Kalanick, the embattled CEO, is forced to resign. His departure marks the end of an era for Uber, but the questions linger. Can the company shed its toxic image? Can it reconcile its pursuit of profit with its responsibility to drivers and the public? The search for a new CEO begins, a search for someone who can steer Uber away from the brink and chart a new course. Enter Dara Khosrowshahi, the former CEO of Expedia. Khosrowshahi, known for his collaborative leadership style and his focus on ethical business practices, is tasked with the daunting challenge of rehabilitating Uber's image. He vows to change the company culture, prioritize driver well-being, and repair relationships with regulators. It's a tall order, but Khosrowshahi represents a clear departure from the Kalanick era. The question remains, can he truly change the DNA of a company built on disruption and defiance? Under Khosrowshahi's leadership, Uber embarks on a path of reform. The company implements new safety measures for riders and drivers, experiments with driver benefits programs, and seeks to work collaboratively with regulators. It also diversifies its portfolio, investing heavily in areas like food delivery, Uber Eats, and micro-mobility, jump bikes. However, challenges remain. The gig economy faces increasing scrutiny, with calls for greater worker protections and fair labor practices. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupts transportation patterns, forcing Uber to adapt once again. The future of Uber, like the future of the gig economy itself, remains uncertain. Uber's story is far from over, but its legacy is already being written. The company's meteoric rise and subsequent reckoning serve as a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked ambition and the ethical dilemmas posed by rapid technological advancement. Uber's impact on transportation, technology, and labor practices is undeniable. It has revolutionized the way we move, disrupted entrenched industries, and sparked a global conversation about the future of work. However, its legacy is also intertwined with its controversial past. a reminder that innovation without ethical considerations can come at a steep price.